The 15-Point Plan is part of the Win, Make, Give podcast network.
Welcome back to another episode of the 15-Point Plan podcast. My name is Ryan Greigg, and as always, I'm here with my amazing co-host, Jacqueline Smith. Our podcast and the 15-Point Plan, it is simply a system. It is a system to make the ordinary extraordinary, to turn humans from regular humans into superhumans by just following this little plan, right, Jacqueline? By following a plan, and it involves 15 points that seem pretty basic when you look at each one of them, but when you stack them up, it gives you that system of success, right? And today, it is the first podcast coming out for 2026. And we are here to talk about what that will look like as far as setting you up for success, not just for the new year, not just for your New Year's resolution, but for the new you. Right, Jacqueline?
The new you, absolutely. This is our first episode. We kind of missed you guys. Well, maybe Ryan didn't. He was on a cruise.
I did. In fact, I missed the podcast. And just yesterday, Jacqueline, I was at the local co-op buying some food, and somebody came up and we started talking real estate, and they said, "Hey, I listen to your guys' podcast, and I just really love how real it is." They said they love how real it is and just authentic. And I know we've been really working towards that, of not having this scripted, drawn out podcast, but just a real conversation and taking the things that work well in our lives and how they can apply to other people's lives. Right. So I did miss it.
Good. That's a good answer. That's what we were wanting. That's the scripted answer that we wanted. No, I'm just kidding.
That's right.
So what we wanted to talk about today was just, as we've all started the new year, we're a couple weeks in, kind of like why most plans end up failing or falling off the rails. Or if you even think about it, like so many times I can look back and like by February, like you're already behind on your goal.
It's easy to do. You set these big goals. Jacqueline, and you get a lot of people that just say they really kind of beat up on the New Year's resolution. They're like, "I don't do that. Like, I change myself all year, and I don't need a day to make that change. I don't need a New Year's resolution." And in fact, like on our call this morning, a lot of people were saying that, right?
Yeah.
And I was kind of thinking to myself, going, "Oh, like, look at you, Mr. Perfect. Like, so let me get this right. Your fitness is dialed. Your nutrition is dialed. Your business is dialed. All these things, like, you got the perfect life." Well, maybe a New Year's resolution can actually kick things off. But what we know is often temporal landmarks like that, they're going to fade away pretty quickly, right?
Yeah. Thank goodness, because I actually don't like them. I'm probably one of the unpopular people that people get excited by the new year. For some reason, it always stresses me out because, everyone's at zero again, or it's like, I don't know exactly what it is, like all this pressure now to become this new fabulous, amazing person and conquer everything and reach these new heights and, the new year, new you, all that stuff. It's just, for me, it's like, oh, pressure, so I kind of like this year, I'm taking a different approach to getting into the year, not on purpose, like not by, choice, but I kicked a coffee table really hard, not on purpose. Like I stubbed my toe. I joke and I say I kicked the coffee table. I stubbed my toe.
Dang, what did the coffee table do to you?
I know. I think it broke my toe. And so that happened to me like middle of February, or not February, December. And I have not been able to walk, let alone run. And as you know, I made a commitment with my husband that I'm supposed to run a marathon in New York this year. And on top of that, so I haven't been able to walk, haven't been able to run. And normally we do 75 hard, to kick off the year. And I was planning to do it even up until January 1st. And I was like, I still can't walk. Like I keep thinking that my toe is going to be better. And it is getting better, just so no one has to worry about me. But there's not anything they can do for a toe, and this toe is like slowing me down, Ryan. And so it's been forcing me to go a little slower, and I've been really thinking about that, how I usually just kind of like power through. And, one of my superpowers I always say is execution. Like I execute quickly. Oftentimes I'll go to a class or a conference or something, and I'm already like getting stuff done that I'm learning at the conference, like before the conference is over and things like that. So I've always been pretty quick to take action, and I'm feeling a little slow because, when you can't, get out and go for brisk walks and get your heart rate up the same way and all those things. And I'm still doing other things, but like that affects my energy too. It affects my mindset. Everything is affected, right? Everything's tied together. And so I've been having a little bit of a different start to my year than I usually do. And not necessarily in like a super positive way.
Isn't it funny too? Like the tiniest little thing, like your toe
I
can
know,
just,
like the same toe.
like one little tiny piggy, like can just really no. So there's that saying, like, if you can't run, walk. If you can't walk, crawl. And
Yeah.
maybe this is just your time to like get super jacked in your upper body. Like maybe
Yeah.
if you can't walk, then like
That's definitely what I've been doing.
maybe it's pull-up time or push-up time or something like that. But I think that with the new year comes, I hear you. I hear that pressure. I hear that starting over, that what do we got to do now? And I think sometimes we just have to take a moment and check off that gratitude point,
Mm-hmm.
15-point plan, get the point for gratitude and look back and say, you know what? Last year was, sure, could I do things differently? But man, there were some really cool things to look at. And one of the things that I've really loved doing, Jacqueline, and a suggestion for our listeners as we are in the new year, is get one of these really big wall calendars. So not just like a calendar that has the month on there, but the entire wall calendar, or excuse me, the entire year
Mm-hmm.
calendar. I have one in my kitchen and I just hung up this year's. And when you look at that, you remind yourself, it's easy to forget what you did back in March of last year because you're thinking, oh, I just had the holidays and all these things. But you remind yourself of all the amazing things that were on that calendar that you did throughout the whole year. And that made me feel really good going, wow, that was a successful year. Could it have been different? Sure. But going into this new year, I'm going, man, I'm super inspired to do another year like that where we travel, where we do things with the family, where we have exciting mastermind events to go to. So I highly recommend getting yourself an annual calendar that's got the entire year on there and start filling that thing out now. And you'll look back at the end of the year and you go, you know what, that was a cool year. And what can I do to keep growing in this new year?
I love that. I love that. So why do you think we were talking a little bit, like, why do you think people fall off their plan? I think like that was my point with my toe, is I think a lot of us don't realize like how much energy management, or how much our energy impacts our outlook, like our perspective, our mood, our mindset, which then impacts like what we do a lot of the times. Like, whether it should or shouldn't, your mood, for most people, they let it impact what they do, or maybe how they do it. Even if they're doing it, they're not doing it with, maybe like you said, the sense of gratitude, or with the same like zest and for life, as they would when they're feeling really good about things.
Yeah, I mean, I think a lot of that comes down to, I might butcher this quote a little bit, but I think it was Zig Ziglar that says like motivation is like showers.
Yeah.
Like you can't just take one a day and be good for the week. Like your motivation, when you set a goal for the new year, you're going to be fired up for a day. You might be fired up for the next day. But guess what? If you only have motivation after 2 weeks, like you got to take another shower. So I think motivation needs to be replaced by discipline, and discipline needs to be initiated by the person that you want to become.
Mm-hmm.
And we had a cool call with our chief growth officer, Mr. Brendan Burchard, and he said,
Yep.
you got to get out of your minimal self. You got to get out of your minimal self attitude and live through your aspirational self. That has been ringing loudly in my head since I heard that. Getting out of our minimal self. What does our minimal self look like? What does our minimal self do? When instead we can ask ourselves, who do I aspire to be and what would that person do? And when you set that up and you say, oh, I would aspire to be somebody that is a pilot. I would aspire to be somebody that will set a world record. I will aspire to be somebody that runs a marathon. Okay, now we got this bigger picture goal and not just some motivation. And now we have to have the disciplinary actions that's going to help us become that aspirational self. And I just loved how he broke that down.
Yeah, that's good. And I think that, like, what I really see the 15-point plan as, at least it is for me, is it does help me manage my energy better. So it helps me not go too workaholic to where I'm not doing a hobby, or I'm not taking care of my health. It helps me not go, like, we tend to sometimes swing the pendulum too far, and so it keeps me really grounded, and it keeps me making sure that I'm taking care of my whole self, not just one part of Jacqueline. And so when I think of that, I think of, okay, your energy determines your capacity, and your capacity is really what determines your ceiling. And he was talking a little bit about that. He talked about there's certain things that you would have to level up in order to move towards your aspirational self. And some of that was like your capacity to handle pain, or your capacity to, he didn't say it this way, but it's what I was thinking, like your capacity to handle like disappointment or frustration, without like spiraling into this negative, like, self-talk, so he said that you had to level up your self-talk, you had to level up your pain tolerance or capacity to handle pain, you had to level up and change your preferences. And then what was the fourth thing? Do you remember?
Your pain threshold.
Okay.
So number 1 was your preferences. Number 2 is your priorities.
Oh, priorities. And then your self-talk and your pain threshold. Yeah, those are the 4. And I think that when you have something like the 15-point plan, that makes sure that you're paying attention to your sleep, that your nutrition's on point, your movement is good, you're hydrating, you're learning, you're laughing, you're doing hobbies, you're spending, time around the right people, then, you're going to have better energy and better capacity to handle pain. You're going to have better self-talk because you're feeling better, and your preferences are lifted, I think, automatically when you have good personal habits.
Yeah, absolutely. When you start checking those things off, sometimes it doesn't feel like you're doing all that much. It doesn't feel like you're doing all that much when you drink some water and you eat some healthy food and you move your body. But then you stack that up in time over time over time, and you continue to do that. You see this pattern. You wake up feeling really good.
Yeah.
And then come February, when the majority of the population has set a New Year's resolution or a goal and their motivation has worn off, you're just getting ramped up. And come springtime, now you've stacked that habit. And if you think about it, and I love that's why you do 75 hard, is because 75 days, if you start at the beginning of the year, is going to put you out into March, April. And now you've really set that pattern of looking at setting a new habit, which they say takes 66 to 100 days. And that's why the 75 hard is so applicable in that regard, because now you've really set yourself towards a new habit. Then if you're like Jacqueline and myself and you live in the Pacific Northwest where it's dark from 9 a.m. till 2, or you only get sunshine from 9 a.m. till 2 p.m. Now it's like, okay, the sun's coming out. I get a couple extra hours of daylight and I feel like $1 million.
Yeah. And everything feels easy after you do 75 hard.
That's right. That's right.
So it does increase your pain tolerance for sure, because it doesn't matter, what the weather is doing or how you feel, like you're doing that outdoor workout, the second workout of your day, it has to be an outdoor workout, at least one of them. And yeah, we've done it in ice storms, snowstorms, wind and rain in our face, no umbrella or raincoat like can help, where we've been like, I need goggles, and yeah, it's true that you start realizing like, oh, normally I would not be doing this right now. I would have totally looked outside and been like, hell no, I'm not going on the walk right now, let alone a run.
Yeah, exactly. And that's what Brennan is referring to when he says upping your pain threshold. And when you do that time and time again, another way to do that is things like a cold shower. Like and you don't got to take a 5-minute cold shower. Like you don't got to take the whole shower cold, but turn the shower on cold for the last 10, 15 seconds. And do that for a month straight and see what that does to your body. Then when you go outside in the cold, you won't realize it at first, but then you go, oh wait, I'm not even cold anymore. Like you've conditioned your body. You've increased your pain threshold through the cold to not put up with these bitter things a little bit more. So going into the new year, find two assignments I'm leaving our listeners with, Jacqueline. Number one, go get one of those annual calendars.
Annual calendar.
I think that's one of the coolest things I've done. I've done it for maybe 3 years now. And it's just really neat. And so this is what you do. You take all your big trips and your big goals and you put them on there first. Put the things that matter most first on there. What do you want to do with your family? Set that thing up. Because look, if you've got a trip planned for the summertime, well, guess what? You're going to work your butt out between now and the summer knowing that you've got that trip planned. Whereas if you just work real hard now and then you say, well, if I work hard enough and make enough money, I'll go on that trip in the summertime. No, you're doing it backwards. So get yourself the calendar. Talk with your hubby, talk with your spouse. Say, look, this time we're going to go do this, right? And get those couple big things on that calendar. And you look back at the end of the year and go, wow, that was a really incredible year. And then number two, ask yourself, who is my aspirational self? Who is that guy? Who is that girl? What do they look like? What do they talk like? What do they eat? When do they get up? When do they go to bed?
Yeah, that's important because I think, like, going back to even how we started, like, the reason why people get behind on their goal or they fail at their goal is because we set these goals, but we literally don't change anything about how we see ourselves, how we talk to ourselves, or the habits that we have. And that is what brings a change in result, is a change in habits. So if you are wanting to do more or different than you did last year, which I think most of us do. I don't know. Do you know very many people that come into the new year and they're like, I just want to stay the same?
Yeah, no,
No.
right?
So we all want to do something different. So you have to do something different. You have to be, right, a different person. And that comes from the way you think and your habits that you live every day. The small habits. It's not these big things. It's the small, consistent, everyday habits that stack up, And I think if you want to take this one step further, since I didn't get to give anyone homework and you got to give two things, I would say if you do get that annual calendar, I would encourage you to track this year. How many days did you track the 15-point plan? And put that on the calendar days. And, at the end of the year, it's not about perfection. It's about making sure you don't drift too far off, right?
Yeah.
We're all gonna stumble. This isn't about perfection. But the cool thing about a system is that when you fall off, when you drift a little ways, you recognize it quickly. If you don't have a system, what tends to happen is you end up in kind of a really dark place, or you waste like months feeling crummy or months being off track with your goal before you realize, oh, I got to do something about this. So that's what I love about 15-point plan is it's my kind of like my GPS, and I can tell if I'm getting off track before it shows up with like half my life crumbling,
Yeah.
So
100%. It's kind of like my credit card, Jacqueline. Like I look at that credit card statement a couple times a week. Because if I don't, guess what? A month later, I look at it and I go, oh my gosh, like what did I spend all these things on? Now, I put everything on the credit card because then I get frequent flyer miles. But if I don't look at that regularly, then it's going to stack up. So our health is the exact same way. So watch that, track that, and manage that more frequently.
Yep. Awesome. Well, welcome to 2026 with the 15-point plan, everyone. We're excited to continue this journey together. If you know anyone amazing that we should have as a podcast guest host guest on here, let us know. And if you have any topics that you're super curious about or any questions for Ryan and I, we kind of want to do some like fan mail or fan questions this year and have a little more interaction and engagement with you guys. So we always appreciate you listening and all the messages that we get. I have not had anyone at my grocery store. I guess I'd have to go to the grocery store though, telling me that they listen to the podcast. So if you're out there,
Give us a message. If you're not at the grocery store, send us a message. Find us on Facebook, on Instagram, on social media platforms. Jacqueline Ray Smith and Ryan Park Greigg. Don't forget you can listen to all past episodes at winmakegive.com. Until next time, bye everyone.
Bye everyone.